just over 12 years now. I was living in the Niagara Falls area. I had just moved there within recent months of this happening. And what happened was I had a best friend, and we had a falling out a few months prior. And I was close with her. I was friends with both her and her husband, but I was more her friend because it's just how I was. I don't really be friends with men. So even though I met them both roughly about the same time, I was closer to her. And they ended up getting married. So her husband, me, we were all friends when we met each other. And so we had a falling out. It was over. She changed the reason why eventually, but her initial reason was because she said that I was basically a hypocrite. I was backslidden, and she didn't like that. She accused me of doing things that I'd never done, but because I had made some posts on Facebook, she had misinterpreted them to be something completely different. And so she said she didn't want to be my friend anymore, and she sent me this Facebook message. She was angry. I don't recall exactly what brought that conversation about. Anyway, in that message she said she never wanted to hear from me again. Now, when someone says something absolute like that, like no way of misinterpreting that, I believe them. So to honor her request, I did not contact her. And I would want people to do the same to me. By the way, if I say do not contact me again, I would want them to not contact me again. So I honored her request. I did not think it was fair, but I was glad that at least she was honest in the end, or so I thought. Anyway, so fast forward a few months, I ended up moving. That's where she lived, in the Niagara area. And so at the time when she sent that message, I was working at a mine in the middle of nowhere, Northern Ontario. I lived in North Bay at the time. Anyway, so fast forward, after a few months, I ended up, that was August, I think. No, it was October 2012. Yeah. And so fast forward, no, August 2012. So fast forward, almost a year. It was June. The first week in June, I moved back to Niagara. Not Niagara Falls, just the area. And I moved there because, I believe God told me to. It was very specific to that town, and I didn't know anyone, but I except for her and her husband, which I did not, she told me not to talk to her again. But in doing so, I was looking at my old stuff in my what's it called? It wasn't a laptop. It was a tiny little notebook computer. And I had all these photos from when I visited her, photos of her children. And I wanted to reformat my little notebook, but I didn't want to just, because they were one-of-a-kind photos, like I took those photos and they were on my notebook device. And so I didn't want to delete them because her kids were like young, and I thought, well, maybe they would want them. So I put them on something else, and I said, I messaged the husband, because we had been friends for, at that point, 7 years, I think, 2012, 2004, 8 years. So it wasn't like, so I knew him, right? I knew him well enough. And I said, I have all these photos. Would you like to, do you want them? Like I can mail them, or I can drop them off, or someplace like a church, because we were church goers back then. I don't think we went to the same church. Anyway, so he said we'll just meet up, and so we did at a shopping mall, and I passed over the envelope. We said, "How's everything?" Casual, what's the word? Not polite, cordial. And that was that. That was my way of handing over the kids' photos and honoring her request at the same time. And so fast forward a few months after that, I think it was, so that was in like June, July. Fast forward a few months, this is sometime during the fall. He started messaging me and said, do you want to be friends? And I was like, and I have all the emails, because it was all done through email. I said basically every single email, and I have all the copies. Basically all my replies would be like, I want to honor your wife's request, and saying that I don't want to dishonor her. I feel like it would be like to dishonor her if we became friends and she told me not to contact her again. It's just weird, right? That would be weird. And so I would say that, like, it would violate my conscience to go against her wishes. Like, I view a husband and wife as the same person. Like, I don't view them as separate. Oh God, how to describe it? I view them as one. So you cannot be friends with one of them if the other one says don't be friends. You have to honor that and respect that. And so that's how I felt about it, and I would try my best to convey that as plainly as possible, because he kept saying, let's just hang out. Like, she does what she does, and she's not the boss of me, and all this stuff. And I was just like, is this guy stupid? I thought he was stupid. Like, I thought he was of low intelligence. And I didn't say that. Anyway, so that started about sometime in the fall, I'm guessing around October. Fast forward, I don't know how many emails there were, but it was sporadically between the fall and January of 2014. 2012, 2014? Oh, God. I'll have to recheck the dates. It all happened within months of each other. I think it was 2014. Anyway, so it was Sunday. I went to church, and someone that I went to school with at a Bible college, he started his own church, and that's where I went. And there was that guy, the husband, and so we all went to Bible college together, and so I knew them all, and we all sat and chatted. It was a very small church, like tiny, and so just basically this room. It wasn't like how you would imagine a church to look. It was like an office building that had been rented, and that was it's a non-denominational type church. And so it was very casual. It's like, oh, you're doing this now. Oh, and he had said, and he had told this to me and our pastor friend, he had said that he was leaving Canada to go visit someone, to go visit family. And I was like, oh, okay. And I felt kind of relieved because this guy was like bothersome. And that I thought, okay, well, see ya. I thought that was the last time. That was a Sunday service, and I thought that was the last time that I would see or hear from him again. Anyway, fast forward a few days, because that Sunday, I think that Sunday may have been my birthday, or my birthday was on that weekend, 2014. I don't remember which day. Anyway, he sends me another email, and he invites me out to a restaurant somewhere, anywhere. He didn't specify. And I remember being like, gosh, like, no, like, I said what I always said, like, no, it would violate my conscience to be your friend because your wife doesn't want me to talk to her again, and you two are like one unit. And then he just had his own rebuttals. And then I blocked him, his own rebuttals of, yeah, she's not the boss of me, I can do what I want, whatever, stuff like that. And I blocked him. That was the end of the conversation for me, and that was the end of me, having to constantly say, no, we're not going to be friends, basically. I would straight out say that. I don't want to be friends. And I thought he was either of low intelligence or maybe it was a cultural thing because he was from one of those countries where the men are in charge, patriarch type culture. I don't want to say too much about it. Certain people who know, who went to Bible college with, I don't know, if, just in case they watch this video, I don't want them to know exactly. Because we had a lot of foreign students. Anyway. So I blocked him, and I was like, ugh, enough of that. I was just feeling grateful that he was leaving the country. But then he's opened up a new account, and this was on Facebook. He sent me a Facebook message, and oh God, what did it say? Something like, hi, I wanted to say more, but you blocked me. And he said, hi, it's me. And then he said his name. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I saved everything. I took screenshots. I was like, this is weird at this point. Because he knew I blocked him. Because he said, hi, it's me. I wanted to send this message, but you blocked me. So I made this account. And he said all this. I still have the screenshots and everything. It's 2026. There's a reason why I kept them. Anyway, so I blocked him. I blocked that account. And then, the day came when apparently that was his flight. And that was January or early February, like the first week, something like that. It was very soon after that Sunday service. Anyway, I thought that was that. I thought I was like, good, good riddance. And fast forward to March, like, and he, out of the blue, sends me an email. And it may have been from a different address. I'll have to go back and check. But he just basically, just out of the blue, he says he's coming back to Canada, or he came back to Canada. I don't remember. But he was like, and this is so weird. Because he just out of the blue said, I don't know what you thought that dinner invitation was, but it was purely out of friendship. And, oh God, what else did he say? Something like that. I'll have to go back and check. Anyway, I was like amazed and flabbergasted. I was just in shock. I was like, what the heck? One, I thought he was gone. And two, like, how many times do I have to say, leave me alone, I don't want to be friends? And three, that was so random and like, what the heck? And so I was going to delete them, everything. Oh, that's what he said. That was the other thing he said. He said, I trust that you will delete all the emails and messages. And I froze instantly. Like my whole body just like stood in attention, basically. And I heard God say flat out, do not delete them. It was like loud and like a warning type tone. It was, do not delete them. You know what I mean? It was very serious, and then, so I said, okay. So I took screenshots of everything else. I saved all the emails. I put everything in one file, labeled crazy emails in my Hotmail account. And it's everything's still there. Anyway. And then I was like, this is nuts. This is, thinking to myself. And so I broke, I don't want to say her name. I broke my ex-best friend's rule. The wife, she told me that she never wanted to hear from me again. Or basically, don't speak to me again. And I broke that rule. I sent her a message, and it was basically like, can you please tell your husband to leave me alone? I don't want to be friends. It was a short message, but basically that was just the gist of it. He keeps messaging me, I don't want to be friends. Anyway, she sends me a reply that said something like, me and so, her husband, are currently separated and she has no control over who he messages. Can you please send me copies? And I was like, oh, okay. All right then. And so I sent her all the copies I had, Facebook messages, emails. It was so many emails. And I basically just one by one just forward everything to her. And she said the day before she heard from me, she asked God to reveal to her if there was anything fishy going on because she was thinking of taking him back. That was the day before. And so like one day later, God basically answered her prayer, right? Because I got that. Normally, I wouldn't break my rule. Like never means never. Anyway, so I sent her everything. And as it turned out, those months from, the June or July 2013 that I had dropped off the photos to him. That was June or July, I forget. From there until March the following year, he had been acting very strangely. He had been making it sound like I was really, really wanting to be his friend, which my emails, my messages, and texts disproved that. And that was why God said, do not delete them. And I was floored. I was like, oh, wow. Because, one, why would, that's like weird. That's fishy. Like, why would he say, I trust that he will delete the emails? Like, why? There's nothing bad in them. I'm basically telling him to step off, right? For months, blocking him. And why would God tell me to not delete them? So I trust God. And I just, right away, I put them away. But like, that's so crazy how it all ended up happening. He was for months making it sound like I was trying to commit adultery with him. That's so random and out of the blue. It got so bad that sometime during those months, she flat out asked him if he was having an affair, and he mentioned this in one of the emails. And my reply in the email, and she read this, was something like, are you serious? Does she mean with me? OMG, what happened to her name? Insert her name there. And So there was proof that it was all non-romantic. It was proof that I was just continuously throughout all those months, how you say, like a tennis racket, just bouncing the ball away, like no thank you, to his offers of friendship. And just proof that my hands were clean throughout all those months, the whole communications. It was just repeatedly me saying after one message after another, we're not going to be friends. I don't want to be friends. I want to honor her, so and so. I don't want to say her name. I should give her a fake name. Anyway, so had I deleted those messages, or had God not said don't delete them, like there would have been no proof otherwise that I was, totally innocent in all his lying. Anyway, just the fact that oh my gosh, there's a lot I can say, but the point of this video is that God, yes, he will always protect you, but when he tells you to do something, even if it doesn't make sense, just do it. Because he sees months down the road, he sees years down the road. I don't know how many times he told me to do something or just don't talk to that person, and I went to talk to them anyway, and I'm still paying the price for that, even though it's been years, over a decade. That's a completely different situation that I will talk about another time. But yeah, I still have all the messages because I don't know if they'll come in handy again to exonerate me, or if he might do that again to somebody else, and then it could reveal a pattern. I don't know these things, but God says don't delete them. That was 2014, early 2014, like January, late January. Anyway, but yeah, just the way everything worked out. The only thing that would have exonerated me were all those emails and messages that I saved. Things would have been so different, had I not done that. But wow. Anyway, obey God when he tells you to do things, even if they don't make sense, even if they seem small. And anyway, as a result, I have since made sure to save all my messages, no matter what they are, text messages, no matter what they are, especially from certain people in my life now. If they are known to be liars, even if I'm so big on protecting myself and my family that I just save everything now.